Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Circle City Conversations. Thank you for joining me for our conversation today. I am here with my friend, Michele Lorbieski.
Hello. I don't know where I should look. Should I look over here? Should I look at you?
You can look at me.
Okay.
First of all, did I say that right or did I destroy that name?
You nailed it. Lorbieski, that's it. I think it's pronounced just like it looks, but a lot of people tell me otherwise. I get Lorbieski a lot.
Yeah, because of the I and the E together. Yeah.
But it's Lorbieski. You nailed it.
Okay, perfect. All right. Where's that?
It's Polish.
It's Polish.
Yeah.
Is there anything else in there? Have you done the 23andMe or anything?
No. So it's my mom's name. That's from her dad. So she's Polish on her dad's side, Irish on her mom's side.
Okay.
And so Lorbieski is from my mom. And then my mom is white and my dad's black. And so I have
lovely.
Yeah, and most people can't tell that looking at me. Most black people can usually figure it out that I'm mixed, but it's harder for other people.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about where you're from.
Sure.
Okay. But before we start that, I want to say thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this. So
I know.
Great.
Yeah. We've known each other for a long time. Yeah. And you're an attorney here in Indianapolis.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? And
Sure.
Yeah.
So I was raised in Texas. I grew up in San Antonio, Texas, until high school. And then as I was looking for where I was going to go to college, some people want to stay close to home. I wanted to get as far away from home as I could because I just wanted a different experience. I wanted to sort of branch out on my own and do my own thing. And so I didn't intentionally come to Indiana. The way I made my way here was that I was a National Achievement Scholar in high school, which they don't have that anymore. Now it's just National Merit. And so National Achievement is for African American students. And so I got recruited by a lot of schools because of that. And so funny enough, the way I learned about DePauw University, where I ended up going to undergrad, they recruited me pretty heavily. And to their credit, they were trying to diversify their campus, right? So they flew me up to Indiana for a weekend to visit the school. And that was the first time I had ever been on a plane.
Oh my
And I was up, I was here in Greencastle, Indiana for a weekend and toured the school. And I was going to be a communications major. And so I was debating if I was going to go to a state school in Texas or if I was going to go here to DePauw. And at DePauw, I was able to get a radio show and a television show as a freshman. And I couldn't do that till I was a senior if I stayed in Indiana or in Texas. And so that's what brought me here. I was a broadcast journalist. I was a communications major thinking I was going to be a broadcast journalist after I finished college. And so luckily at DePauw, they send you away for a semester. I was also a media fellow there. So I got to go to New York City for a semester my junior year to do an internship at a college television station. And it's so funny. I decided then I didn't want to do broadcast journalism because I was put off by the fact that my success on camera would be dependent on if I aged well. And, I saw women in particular who were having a harder time of, keeping their careers going because they didn't age well. And I actually had one friend in law school who worked for a very famous broadcaster who got a plastic surgery so she could stay on camera. And so I decided I didn't want that for myself. And the funny thing is I'm now 48 and I have aged pretty well.
Yeah, you have.
So I decided to ditch the broadcast journalism career and then, took the LSAT and then decided to go to college. And so I went to Georgetown for law school.
Okay.
And found my way back here. It took a little bit. So I started my law career in LA after law school. I was working at Latham and Watkins because I figured if I started at a really big firm, I could go smaller, and it'd be harder to go from small to big. And I was used to, frankly, warmer weather in Texas, and I was kind of tired of Indiana weather and DC weather that wasn't, warm enough. So I go to LA. And between finishing law school and starting my job in LA, I met who would become my husband, Aaron Anderson, through someone that I was friends with at DePauw. So after 3 years of being in LA, we moved to Indiana, back to Indiana where he's from.
Yeah.
And that's what brought me back here.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And so LA, how long did you live in LA?
For 3 years.
Wow. And you worked out there?
I did. So I worked at Latham & Watkins. It was a great experience. I mean, it was a huge firm. I mean, they're global. They have offices in Dubai and wherever. it was interesting because, I thought I was pretty amazing as a
Yeah.
third-year attorney at a big law firm. I
Yeah.
was very impressed with myself, and my bill rate was crazy, my salary
Wow.
was crazy. This was during a time when there was this kind of war among, salaries for young associates. At
Hmm.
the big firms, they kept going up and up and up, and I mean, the offer I got was one price point, and it just kept going up. It
Yeah.
was stupid money, right?
Yeah.
Well, then Lehman Brothers failed, and it was a huge client of the firm, and so I'll
Mhm.
never forget it. Before I left the firm, I maintained my job luckily, but it was the craziest experience, partners just swarming the halls, and you knew if you got a knock on your door from 2 partners, you were getting fired. If you
Oh
got a
my
knock on your door
God.
from 1 partner, then you were okay. And so I got a knock on my door from 1 partner, said I was okay. I kept my job, but, like, my neighbor didn't. I mean, it
No.
was an awful time. But I had met Aaron by this time. We
Yeah.
had decided we were gonna move back to Indiana, so about 6 months or so later in 29 or 2009, I
Okay.
moved here and started at a firm here.
When you were in LA, were you doing the same kind of work that you're doing now?
No, so when I was in LA, I was doing business litigation,
Got it.
right? So just representing companies and
Okay.
contractual disputes. When I came here in 2009, was working at Frost Brown Todd, that is now FBT Gibbons.
Yep.
I was doing business litigation there too. So I did business litigation for about 13 years of my career, and I enjoyed it. But I will say, after 13 years, I had made partner, and I just wanted to feel more proud of my work at the end.
Yeah.
Like I was really
Yeah.
making an impact on people's lives. And to the extent that I had small business clients, I
Mhm.
got a little bit of that, but it wasn't really scratching that itch for me.
Mhm.
So in 2019, I moved to Hewitt Law and Mediation. And that's when I started doing probate and trust litigation. And there I'm
Okay.
representing families involved in
Mhm.
disputes about usually a deceased loved one and their estate. And that has really filled that hole
Yeah.
that I had in my practice. And I've been doing that for 7 years now.
When you moved to the new firm, did you intentionally do it to practice probate law, or was that probate just kind of fell in your lap when you moved?
The intention was to go smaller.
Okay.
So I wanted to be, so the shop that I went to had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I was the fifth attorney,
Okay.
right? And
Yeah.
3 support staff.
Okay.
And I was going from a
Boutique. I
place
love
that
it.
had around like 60-ish
Yeah.
attorneys. So I wanted to go small.
Mhm.
And I wanted to, the metrics for me were smaller, and I had to like every single person in the building because it was smaller,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no room. I mean, in a bigger firm, you don't have to love everyone, but
Yeah.
you don't see everyone all the
Yeah.
time.
Right.
And so, I was really upfront about it. I met with them. I was like, I got to make sure I like you, you like me.
Hmm.
And it was a great opportunity for me because Brian Hewitt is so well respected in the
Yeah.
area of probate and trust litigation and also transactional work. He was ready to, get an experienced litigator in the door that he could just have handle his litigation so he could focus on transactional matters and
Hmm.
mediation.
Okay.
And so I knew, and I just didn't have my own book of business. It was the other thing.
Yeah.
And so it was a great opportunity for him to, have me work on his book and for me to get involved. And it was really a turning point in my career. I hadn't really thought throughout my career about the business side of being a lawyer. I was just so focused on practice mastery that I wasn't really deliberate about
Right.
making sure I had a book of business. And doing probate and trust litigation, I found, is so much easier to develop business than it was for me in business
Yeah.
litigation. So it's been
Yeah.
a really good transition.
Yeah. I love to hear you talk about the need for a book of business, even where you're at now,
Yeah,
which is a bigger, probably medium to bigger size firm.
sure.
I'd say bigger for indie,
Yeah,
maybe.
sure.
Yeah. But even then, you still have to be able to develop your own business,
Sure,
you
absolutely.
know?
I mean, as a lawyer, you can be as good at your craft as possible,
Hmm.
but you're always, beholden to someone who's going to give you work to do,
Yeah.
right? We've got to have
Yes.
cases to work on. And so I luckily have worked for some very good partners who were
Hmm.
very good at training me. But, I'm sort of at their mercy,
Yeah.
right? And then when Brian decided, we were all going to move over to Lewis, Wagner, and Trimble, I had to decide, oh, do I want to go and do that? And it's been a great transition and I love being there. But now I'm at a point in my career where I'm, developing a little bit more autonomy, right?
Yeah.
And so
Right.
that's been fun.
So tell me a little bit more about your practice now at Lewis, Wagner and Trimble.
Sure. So our practice group is, sort of we call it our probate group.
Mhm.
And part of it are attorneys that do estate planning. And so they draft wills and they draft trusts and, end of life decision making documents and powers of
Yeah.
attorney, things like that.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
No.
And then there are people that do probate administration or trust administration. And what that means is after someone passes and you've got the instruments that they've developed, will or a
Right.
trust, or even if you don't have a will, because probate involves people that don't have wills. The statute determines how your assets are distributed. If nobody's fighting, everyone's getting along in the administration, I'm not involved in that.
Mhm.
That's the easier administration, and that's done by
Yeah.
another set of attorneys at my firm too. Where I come in is I'm in our litigation section of our
Okay.
probate practice group. And so I'm involved in will contests, trust contests, contested guardianships where people disagree about who should be in charge of their loved one who needs help because they're incapacitated. So when I people ask what I do, I said, look, when someone dies and people are fighting about their money, that's what I do.
That's what you do.
That's what I do.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love it. So what do you enjoy the most about what you do?
I think I'm in a different place in my career. It used to be when I was an associate, I loved the work. I loved
Mhm.
the legal questions and going to court and winning for clients. That's still something I love. But now I'm in a managerial position. And it's funny, when you're in law school, you don't imagine that throughout your career, if you're successful, you transition from the person who's in court all the time doing all the legal work at your computer to managing a business,
Mhm.
which is what I'm now doing. And so
Yeah.
what I find the most joy in is training my associates, giving them confidence, getting them ready to do their best work and working with clients who, my clients are usually pretty emotional, right? They're
Yeah.
dealing with the grief of the loss of a loved one.
Mhm.
Sometimes they're dealing with financial issues
Yeah.
that involve amounts of money they've never experienced in their life. And so that's stressful. And then at the same time, while they're grieving and they're thinking about all this money, they've got people that have been in their lives that they love sometimes and might not love anymore
Mhm.
who are making terrible allegations about each other. And so
Yeah.
that is so emotional. So I really enjoy helping those clients who are dealing with these very serious emotions try to navigate something that's confusing to them, which is the
Mhm.
legal system.
Yeah. Psychologically, it's almost got some family law elements in there.
It is the closest thing to family law without a divorce.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So especially the guardianships
Absolutely.
and things like that.
Well, and guardianships sometimes involve divorces. So if you've got, a couple and one's incapacitated and, you end up putting a guardianship in
Mhm.
place, those assets need to be divided.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it can look exactly and is exactly like a divorce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what you're doing, it's easy to screw it up.
It
So
is. It's so easy. And you know what I found? And the reason why this has been such a good transition for me for business is that what I found is that in this area of law, there are people that write wills and write trusts, but they don't want to go to court.
Yeah.
Right. And so the people that refer work to me sometimes are people that are regular individuals. They're like, hey, I've got this dispute. I need help. A lot of times it's lawyers who
Mhm.
get the call from somebody who has a dispute. And they're like, ooh, I'm happy to write your will or trust, but I'm not going to go to court. And so
Yeah.
then they call me.
Yeah.
And so it's been great.
And those types of cases, because litigation takes a lot of time.
A lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And obviously, for us as lawyers, our time is money.
for sure.
So there's no contingency fees allowed on those cases, right?
So we've actually tried contingency in the past, but
Okay.
we've had experiences where courts would not approve the contingency fee
Courts
agreement.
have to approve it.
Exactly. And so we don't do them anymore as a policy matter. So it's all on an hourly rate.
Okay.
No contingency.
And that would be a situation client pays the retainer,
Mhm.
of course, and then they're charged hourly. All right.
Yeah.
So what are some of the more common misconceptions that people have about probate work?
Generally speaking, and I'm sure you've heard this, people say you want to avoid probate. It's the worst thing that it could ever happen. I have a different perspective on that. I mean, the alternative to probate is mostly a trust, right? So people will engage in developing a trust, and I have a trust, for example.
Hmm.
The thing that's tricky about a trust, it works, I think, particularly well for people that have high net worth that are looking for tax advantages in doing this kind of planning for a trust. It also works for people that have high enough net wealth that the administrator of that trust, the trustee, is
Uh-huh.
someone who's a professional. So a bank, for
Got it.
example,
Yep.
right? Or a lawyer. There are lawyers that do this. I actually serve as the trustee, on occasion for people. Um, it doesn't work as well for people that have less money,
Yeah.
where a bank won't serve as the administrator,
Yeah.
and you're really down to a family member or a close
Hmm.
friend who's going to administer your trust. And I unfortunately also deal with cases that involve allegations of breach of duty by trustees or personal representatives in a probate estate. And sometimes it's intentional. People are
Yeah.
just stealing,
Hmm.
self-dealing. Sometimes it's not intentional. They're not professionals. So they're
They
doing their
don't know.
best. And so it's just gut-wrenching to see these situations where people are trying to do their best, but they don't keep really good records, for example, and then that leaves them vulnerable to people who want to make allegations to say that they've been cheating and stealing when they really haven't.
Yeah.
And so probate can fix that in
Yeah.
terms of having court oversight. Now, you can have a probate administration that's supervised. I mean, the judge has to agree or approve everything that the personal representative does. You can also have an unsupervised administration. So it's in a court. There's a cause number. You as the personal representative do everything outside of the court without having to
Mhm.
get approval for every, check you write. But then at the end, you file a closing statement, and then there's oversight there. So the beneficiaries can see an accounting of everything you've done, and if they see that there's a problem, they can fix it then. And
Yeah.
that opportunity doesn't present itself in a trust that's administered outside of the court.
Yeah.
And so I think it's too bad that people just have that knee jerk now that they want to avoid probate because honestly, in a lot of situations, probate is the right option for people.
My family immigrated here from Cuba after Fidel Castro took over, and this government took everything from my family, and that attracted me to be a lawyer. Insurance companies can be like bullies, and they have a lot of resources behind them. Give us a call here at Hearst Limontes. We are protective of our clients because our clients matter and you matter. At Hearst Limontes, we're a firm that believes in people. We don't just talk about justice or fairness, we live it. The Indiana Fever are trailblazers. They inspire not only in how they play, but how they lead in our Indiana community. Being a father changes everything. Supporting the Fever is one way that I show my kids what it means to believe in fairness, to believe in respect and possibility. At Hearst Limontes, we believe in those same things. The Fever stand for resilience, grit, determination, and heart. They aren't just a basketball team. They're a symbol of what's possible when you refuse to give up. Their impact ripples far beyond the court, and you can see it in the energy, pride, and hope that they create in our city. Whether you're a young girl dreaming of playing in the WNBA or a kid in a small town dreaming of becoming a lawyer, you belong. This partnership is proof of that. At Hearst Limontes, we believe in standing up for those people that are overlooked. From court to court, Hearst Limontes is your winning team. Let me ask you this. So what about like a working class family?
Yeah.
Maybe a couple that's been married for 40, 50 years. They're in their mid 60s,
Mhm.
just retired. Maybe their estate is worth 50,000 or 70,000 in that range.
Yep.
Are there other mechanisms that they can use, like maybe like a smaller trust or something like that?
For someone
Yeah.
like that, the best thing for them to do is there are mechanisms where you can just make all of your assets pass outside of a trust or outside of probate through beneficiary designations.
Okay.
So, for example, your retirement account, you have to designate a beneficiary for
Right.
that. That happens without any court intervention. It's automatic. As
Yep.
soon as the person dies, you file a claim if you're the beneficiary and you get it. Life insurance, same thing. You designate a beneficiary, whoever gets that money just gets it. No court involved, no administrator, trustee or personal representative involved. Your
Yeah.
house can be titled as husband and wife, for example. Or even if you're not married, you can still create the same scenario where as soon as one of the people passes, the survivor gets it.
Yeah.
No courts involved in that. You can do your bank accounts. You can do those transfer on death or pay on death. And then or if they're a joint account, you don't even need to do transfer on death. If you and your wife, for example, have a joint account, if you're both on it, whoever survives the other gets it,
Correct.
right? No
Yeah.
courts involved. So for a lot of people, there's no need to have, if you'd only have like a house and a bank account,
Yeah.
and some retirement accounts, you can do that all outside of probate, outside of a trust. It just transfers if it's going to go to your spouse.
Yeah.
You can also designate your kids as beneficiaries and percentages of those things if you want. So
Yeah.
that's a really good mechanism.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question. So for, let's say you've got a young family, on the flip side, you're not at retirement age, you've got a young family but you don't have a ton of assets, you just bought your first house but you're worried about if something happens to you, who's going to take care of my kids?
Absolutely.
Yeah, are there mechanisms for that?
So there is, and I think in that situation, a trust is probably the right way to go. And that's actually my situation. So
Yeah.
I'm a single parent,
Mhm.
and I have a 14-year-old daughter. And so yeah, if I were to die tomorrow, and the great and the bad thing about the work I do is that I
Yeah,
speak so casually about end of
you
life
have to.
events
Yeah.
because I'm so used to it. And I find when I talk to my clients, they're kind of taken aback, because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that person died. Oh yeah, that person died. And it just kind of rolls off the tongue. So I have to, apologize to my clients that I'm so comfortable talking about
Yeah.
these things. But yeah, for me, that's the scenario I'm in because I don't want, I've got a life insurance policy. I don't want Izzy just to come into all this money. What would she do with it, right?
What would you have done with it?
I mean, buy a car.
That's what I always say to myself. I'm like, when I have kids that get
Yeah.
money, in
Yeah.
our cases, I'm like, what the hell would you have done with it, Alex?
I know
Who
exactly
knows?
what Izzy would do right now because she's 14 looking at getting a license. She would get
Yeah.
a vintage Bronco with pink
Yeah.
interior,
Yeah.
so-
For like $60,000, $70,000. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like,
So,
God.
so I've got, so my house and my life insurance policy and my retirement account, everything is titled to this trust,
Yeah.
right? So if I die, it all goes to the trust, and the trustee is not her dad, even though he's a very wonderful person.
Yeah.
The trustee is a bank.
Yeah. It's good to
And
have a bank.
I had actually done it that way too, even when we were married, much to my husband's chagrin, because
Yeah.
here's the thing that I know working in this area of law is that, if people pass, you want them to move on and have another life, right? And marry someone. And my loyalties and my money all go to one kid, right?
Mhm.
And I wouldn't want my ex-husband to have had to have made that choice
Yeah.
if any of that money would have to go to Izzy or any of the other kids if he were to remarry and have other kids.
Yeah.
That's just hard.
Yes.
And I wouldn't blame them if he didn't make an only Izzy decision, right?
Yeah.
And that I don't want to put anybody in that position. So
Yeah.
it's just cleaner to
Yeah.
have a bank do it.
Yeah. And I mean, you're actually this is my next point. You're
Mhm.
really making a good point, is that this is part of the reason why people should speak to a probate lawyer, because people don't want to think about when the bad thing happens to them, when
Right.
but doing that now,
Mhm.
you can have a conversation with them or someone like you in your office, for
Yep.
example, and bring to light these other possibilities and other issues and
Mhm.
concerns. Like, I wouldn't want that to be put on that person,
Exactly.
and then plan for it and have your
Yeah.
contingency.
And what I find too, people that do estate planning, wills or trust, often advise their clients that depending on the family dynamics, it all depends on that. But it's often easier for the family if they know what the plan is instead of all this secrecy and these, oh, but I heard this, I heard that, whatever. I mean, if you're cutting someone out,
Hmm.
I mean, you're probably treating them differently. It's probably not a secret, right?
Yeah.
And so for them to know, and then it makes it a lot easier because a lot of will contests or trust contests I find happen when people have a different perspective of their relationship with the decedent than reality, right? And these things can change really quickly too, and that's what's hard for people. Because look, I everybody should know that, what I do with my own money and what you do with your own money and
Mhm.
what anybody does with their own money, they can do whatever they want,
Yeah.
right? And even if you have a hope or an expectation that you're going to inherit from someone, that could change at any moment, right? Up until the time they die, as long as they have capacity and they're
Mhm.
not unduly influenced by someone. So we have a lot of, very long cases that last for years to try to figure out what undue influence looks like and
Oh,
what
yeah.
capacity looks like. I will warn you, it doesn't take a lot of capacity to sign a will or a trust. People think that you have to be on it. I mean, all you have to know to do a will is what are my assets? Who are my, natural heirs of my bounty? This is weird probate language.
My bounty.
Of my bounty. What
Oh
is my
my God.
relationship with it and what do they deserve based on that?
Oh,
It doesn't take, and if you only own a car and a house and a bank account, you don't have to be as,
yeah.
sharp as a knife to know that.
Right.
You can
Exactly.
have a little bit of, diminishment as you get older,
Yeah.
and still be able to do all that.
Yeah. Sorry, that is a law that was created by men with the word bounty in it.
Yeah.
Like women would not. They would be like,
My bounty.
let's think of a better word. Stuff.
Mhm.
Like,
Or just assets. You could just put assets in there.
Jesus. Oh my God.
Yep.
Okay. So, you work at Lewis Wagner Trimble. You guys do all the probate work across the board, probably.
And actually, that's what's unique about us. There's a lot of shops that just have estate planners, right?
Correct.
There are some shops that just have litigators.
Yeah.
We have a deep, full bench of people that do it all,
Yeah.
and really heavy hitters in the
Yeah.
practice. So it's a little bit humbling and
Yeah.
awesome to be working with such, a great team.
Do you have any overlap with adoptions, or is that
No, not
no?
really. So there was one associate that I work with who's interested in that. And that's one of the
Yeah.
great things about our firm is that it's entrepreneurial. So if
Oh, I
somebody
love it.
wants to develop a practice like that, they can. So one of the guys that I work with, that's something he's interested in. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
run with it if you want to develop that.
Yeah.
But we don't right now.
Yeah. Well, I want to switch gears a little bit outside of the law.
Yes.
You, like me, were Indiana Fever fans,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're a
Yes.
bigger fan than I am.
I
so.
think I've become a fanatic. I mean, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is, those games you go to them. It's unlike anything.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Mhm.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about the Fever and the WNBA that you love the most?
So what I love about it personally is I'm a 48-year-old woman who works in a profession where I am viewed as an authority, as someone who is in charge, and I'm valued for all of that. But I find with some of my female friends who don't work in such a hard charging,
Yeah.
area of work is that as women get older, I feel like we disappear to some extent, we
Mhm.
become someone's mom,
Yeah.
someone's wife, someone's sister, but really, having our own identity and like being held up as a strong, powerful woman, it gets harder as you get older. And so when I'll never forget, I go to this, Fever game and I was brought into it by my daughter and her dad.
Yeah.
Because even though we're married, we're actually a bit unique. We're really good friends still.
Yeah.
And for Izzy's benefit and ours too,
Yeah.
we have a good friendship. And so I go to this Fever game and they had known about Caitlin Clark because Aaron's an IU fan. And so he
Yeah.
was watching men's basketball and then he started watching women's basketball and then he heard about Caitlin. And I go to this game and it's electric.
Yeah.
It feels like a Pacer playoff game,
Yeah.
right? Every game, everyone's just crazy, energized. And I'm watching all these women on the court and they're being celebrated and
Yeah.
lifted up as powerful, strong women who are like getting stuff done,
Yeah.
And I wanted Izzy to see that,
Yes.
And so that's what I think is unique about the Fever. It's an opportunity where we're all raising up women and, supporting them and being strong and not criticize. Because even as a litigator, I, throughout my career, would get criticism for being aggressive
Yeah.
or being a little bit,
Mhm.
rough around the edges or whatever. I'm like, that's my job.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
if I was soft and
You wouldn't
and
be.
I
Yeah.
I wouldn't be successful.
Yeah.
None of
Yeah.
my clients would appreciate that if I was just sitting there, oh, it's okay. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
Yeah.
So I love that. And it's just been
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's just such a great it's fun to just get away from your day too and just be a crazy fan,
Yeah.
and be cheering and whooping it up and
Hmm.
have a good time.
And, I will say there's something about basketball in this state.
For sure.
I've seen this t-shirt people wear. It says in 49 other states, it's just basketball, but this is Indiana. So
Yep.
there is, it's like the perfect sport for it to have happened to, it's like the perfect storm.
Absolutely.
Like,
Well, and I grew up in Texas, so I get that in football.
yes. Yeah.
And so I felt like that growing up.
Yeah.
In high school football
Was
like,
it? Yeah.
it's like a thing.
Yeah.
And so this feels familiar to me, what I used to have growing up in football, but it's in basketball.
Yeah.
And it's just great for everybody to come together and like all be part of something.
Right.
There's something to say about that.
Right.
You know,
I love the family aspect of it.
For
You
sure.
see a lot of young girls there
Mhm.
watching
young boys.
and young boys,
Yeah.
and I love it. And I've gone, now for 2 years now, I've been to a lot of games.
Absolutely.
So it's
Well,
a lot
and
of fun.
I love our Pacers, right?
Yeah,
But it's different than a Pacer game.
Yeah.
It just is.
it is.
Yeah. And so I just love the atmosphere of a FIBA
Yeah,
game.
yeah. What player or aspect? Let's assume that they come to an agreement.
Yes.
And there's
they
a
play.
season.
Oh my God, please.
Yes,
Please let them
so-
play this next
Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
what player or aspect of the team are you most excited about this year?
I'm most excited about Caitlin Clark coming off of her injury.
Yeah.
I think there's so much anticipation and so much eagerness to see her back in form and play. And man,
Mm-mm.
I think they could take it all. I think
Yeah.
they could take it off. They could stay healthy. I think they could. And I think, the thing about Caitlin Clark is that the thing that I love about her is I'm always trying to find role models for my daughter that are people that
Mhm.
I would want her to learn things from. And the way she has with her poise,
Yeah.
her ability to handle the media, her ability to handle all this pressure. I mean, she could be someone who's just cocky and just pops off all the
Yeah,
time and
we've seen-
criticizes people. She raises
Yeah.
everybody up before
Yeah.
even herself.
Yeah.
I mean, she is just an incredible person,
Yeah.
even in addition to being an incredible athlete.
Yeah. And we actually got to meet her.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We
That was-
did.
I will forever be indebted to you for when you told me that you were going to bring me to this event where I was going to get, because I go to all these games and we have pretty good seats, right?
Yeah.
And I've gotten, to see her
You're
a few
close,
times.
like right.
I'm
yeah.
close,
Yeah.
yeah. But I've never gotten to like actually meet her like up
Mhm.
close and personal, right?
Mhm.
And I, so we got to go to this, where was the
It was
event?
at the Back Nine golf place
Back Nine.
downtown.
So we
Yeah.
go and we see all the players get introduced and she's there and I'm just like, oh my God. And Izzy, my 14-year-old, is like, calm down, mommy, calm down. Be cool, right? And so then we go to our bay and then all the players would come and, if
Yeah.
groups of 2 or 3 and we get to interact with them. And, it just proves up what I see at games, that they're just lovely people.
They were amazing. weren't
Yeah,
they?
they're so gracious to spend time because everybody wants their time, right?
Mhm.
And they were funny and interesting and
Yeah.
and wonderful. And then of course, got to see Caitlin and I'm just like vibrating and like, play cool. Don't be a crazy person. I think I did okay. Did I do okay?
You did great. Yeah, you did great. I think that first of all, to your point, when I met her, she was so cool.
Mhm.
Like just like a genuine, laid back kind of person. Just got that vibe from her.
Yeah.
She was kind of cracking jokes at Lexi Hull
Yep.
about the bathing suit pictures
Right.
that they posted on
About how
Instagram,
she
like
needs to work
messing
on her tan.
messing with her and working. Yeah, and it was funny, and she was very, very kind and gracious, and I really just got a very good first impression from her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So And it was fun,
Yeah,
you know,
super
and we
fun.
got to play some golf.
Yeah, and Izzy got to see, I love doing things where Izzy is better than me. Golf
Mhm.
is one of them. I am terrible.
Yeah.
So it's good for her
Yeah.
to have that.
And I got to meet my my crush, Aaliyah Boston, but that's for another episode,
Yeah,
you know.
she's
So
great too.
she
Well,
is.
and because of you too. Well, I guess you donated this thing
Hmm.
to the Indianapolis Bar Association, and I am a crazy person and outbid everybody to
Oh, the
go
team
the
captain.
team captain for the
Yeah.
day. So I got to go on the court
Hmm.
when the refs were talking to the players at the beginning. Did I tell you what I said? Because you told me I was going to have to say something.
Yeah. I,
Um,
no, I don't know if we ever talked about it.
yeah, so it's right before the game. You could almost miss it if you, and I watch now
Yeah.
because I know it's happening, so I want to
Yeah.
see what people are doing. And so the team captains are, regular people, honorary team captains, and then there's someone from the Fever, and then there's someone from the other team. And it was Leah Boston from the Fever, and we were playing the Aces that
Yep.
night. And I thought it was going to be Asia Wilson, but it wasn't. It was a younger player that came. And so they came in the middle, and I'm sitting there thinking, am I going to say something that's like, sort of diplomatic and have a good game? And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So
Yeah.
they look at me to say something. And then I was like, you don't need me to say anything. You got this.
I love it.
Then the,
I
the
love
other
it.
players were like, oh.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
Yeah. No, well, and I'm glad that I warned you because nobody warned me.
Mm.
And I was when the ref leaned in, everyone's in the circle and it was loud and the ref was like, "Well, what are you going to say?" And I was dead silent
Mhm.
for like 10,
Not
15
knowing.
seconds, not knowing what to say
Yeah.
because I didn't realize that the ref had told me,
Mhm.
you have to say something, but
Yeah.
and Aaliyah Boston is just looking at me and I'm looking at her and we were eye to eye, like,
Well, I'm sure you were. I
yes,
was not,
yeah,
because I'm
right,
like
yeah,
5'1".
yeah. So, but yeah, I was floored for a minute there, and I was eye to eye with Aaliyah Boston, and I thought to myself, it's a rare moment, Alex, that you are eye to eye with another woman.
Yeah.
And like,
What did you say?
I said something about, let's have a great game, or just I came up with something.
Yeah.
But I think I blacked out for a minute too. So like that's why I can't really like remember.
Can't repeat it,
Yeah.
right.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, because there's actually a picture I took my father-in-law with me, and he's Irish German guy. He's
Mhm.
probably 5'10" or something,
Yeah.
maybe even a little shorter than that. So it's just funny. He's like this little old white guy,
Yeah.
like standing right there. And I'm a bigger guy,
Sure.
and so, yeah, but he said a few things too.
Okay.
And so he coached girls basketball
Oh.
for years
Mhm.
we were talking about Chittard earlier in my
Yeah.
office. So like coached them, the younger girls too, and track and all the
Oh, that's
things. He
great.
was like the coach. So, he loves, he just loved coaching those girls. And so
Sure.
I brought him down there with me. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a wonderful experience.
I brought no surprise my daughter. And
Yeah.
honestly, like, I sometimes joke with her, but I'm not really joking. I'm kind of serious. I'm like, I'm a little jealous of you because of all
What?
the things,
The
she gets to
experiences?
come
Yeah.
and do with me. I mean,
Yeah.
she has a passport.
Yeah.
I didn't leave the country until I was in law school, and it
Yes.
was on a trip it was a school sponsored trip that I got to go to Vienna for. It
Yeah.
was pretty cool. So
Yeah. And, I try to tell my kids all the time, remind them that their life is much different than
Yeah.
mine was. Sometimes it falls on deaf ears. Most of the time, they're just ignoring me and watching YouTube.
yeah.
So,
Well, and that's funny. I mean, so I grew up very poor, right? First
yeah.
person in my family to I don't think I was the first person to graduate from high school. I know a lot of people got GEDs. I think maybe my Uncle Mark graduated from high school. I'm pretty sure he did. Definitely first person to graduate from college. And so growing up, I was so bitter, because I
Yeah.
wanted all these things that, my friends had and was kind of jealous. But now looking back, I'm so grateful because I learned having, the value of working for things
Correct.
and the value of gratitude. And I, I think that the success that I've, have now, I feel so proud
Mhm.
because of all the work I had to do to get there.
Yeah.
And I want to give, we all want to give our kids opportunities. I just don't know how to replicate that work ethic, when you
hard.
have so much opportunity. And so it's tough. I don't
Yeah.
know. If you figure it out, you let me know.
Well, I will, and I don't think I ever will.
Yeah.
But I will say this. The reality is the fact that we're cognizant of it and that we're trying,
Right.
is a step in the right direction. Parenting is hard.
Oh, it's the hardest thing I've ever
So
done.
hard, and you don't have a manual for it, and then
Uh-huh.
you have these little people that kind of remind you of yourself
Yep.
too, and when bad things happen to them, like
Mhm.
you feel bad for them, you
Sure.
have to deal with. You were talking about social issues, like,
Yep.
and that in hindsight, you look back at that stuff and you're like, this was all stupid bullshit.
Right. Right. But it's so
Right.
and what's really hard too is, teaching your kids all the things you need to teach them and then allowing them to either succeed or fail
Mhm.
and learning those lessons from failing. That's
Yeah.
the hard part
Yeah.
because, I've had to really switch gears now that Izzy's 14 and going into high school next year and learn that I need to stop doing things
Yep.
for her. She needs to just do it on her own. And it's hard because it feels kind of a little bit of an abandonment, right? Because
Mhm.
she's like, why aren't you doing this for me? I'm like,
Yeah.
you can do that.
Mhm. Yeah. No, you're right.
So-
And you remember when they were cute little babies and crawl in the bed with you, and
She still crawls in the bed with me. I tell her this sometimes jokingly, she'll be doing something that's, she's acting up a little bit. And I'm like, you're not cute enough for that anymore.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Because, when you're that little and that cute, you get away with a lot of stuff, right?
Right.
They're so adorable.
Right.
So.
I love it. So tell me, in your spare time, aside from the fever, and then probably being a chauffeur for Izzy,
Yes.
Yes.
I'm quite the bus driver. I've
Yes.
got all the snacks. Yeah.
what else do you do?
I'm really into the outdoors, and this sort of came to me later in life. When I was younger, we would go camping,
Mhm.
and I remember doing all that, but it was always car camping. We didn't do
Yeah.
anything more aggressive than that. But it's interesting so in 2015, I lost my son. Yeah,
sorry.
no, thank you. It was one of those things. It's funny. I always joke all the time. I was so anxious in college, thinking, oh, what if I get pregnant? Like, who knew it was going to be so hard, right? When I was
Yeah.
older and was trying to have babies. So my fertility struggle has been, a real thing. So I had a son in 2015. I carried him full term, but then there were neurological deficiencies that were not recoverable. And so he passed 9 days after he was born. So it was a really hard time in my life. And then after I lost Hudson, I got this opportunity through this company that was doing a documentary. And what they
Yeah.
did was they asked people people would nominate you to go on this 4-day trip, right, out into the woods in Indiana, and they would film it. And we did all kinds of great things. We did rappelling, or no, not rappelling. We did what's it called? Zip lining.
Yep.
Zip lining. We did paddle boarding. We did
Yeah.
hiking.
In Indiana?
In Indiana.
Where?
Yeah,
South?
Yellowstone.
Okay.
And then we did mountain biking. And I
Okay.
had never done mountain biking before. I had never
Yeah.
hiked before. And we hiked, I think it was like 10 miles, anything
Wow.
across the time. I had done camping, but I hadn't done backpacking where
Mhm.
you have your tent
set
on your
up your
back
tent
and then
and
you
all the
set it up
things.
out
Yeah.
there, and do that. And it was such a great experience with these women who, I didn't know, and I got to bond with them and talk about, and it was, they do studies on this actually about the difference it does to your brain chemistry to be out in the woods or out in
Really?
nature it's called the 3-day effect. If you Google it, you can find it. And like how this really, everybody's looking for ways to de-stress and calm down. And there's actual science behind if you go out in the woods for 3 days and do whatever it is you do, that has a scientific impact on.
Shit.
Yeah.
Moving to the fucking woods.
You should.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Doing this in the woods.
So I love doing that. I love camping. I love hiking. I don't mountain bike as much because you have to go out a bit further than I'd like to do to go do that.
Yeah.
It's not local. It's a little bit hard. You can go to Brown County to mountain bike. There's great trails.
But it's not like.
This is not as convenient.
Yeah.
So that's been life-changing for me. And now I have a retirement plan because of it. I watched this show called Homestead Rescue. Have you ever seen this?
Yes.
And so I'm convinced that I can't be too old when I try to do it because it's a lot of work
Yes.
physically.
Yeah.
So I want to have a homestead. Now,
Yeah.
I have to be realistic. I'm not going to be completely off grid. I'm going to
Yeah.
need running water. I'm going to need solar.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my dream is to.
But so you won't be practicing law then?
Oh, I will not be practicing law by then.
You, oh man, I'm gonna die at my desk.
You think?
Oh yeah, I will.
I am not.
I will be practicing law until they kick me out of this damn place.
I will do it. I will do it as long as until Izzy's out of college for
Yeah.
sure, because I got to pay all those bills.
Right.
So I've got at least
Or
enough-
grad school then.
or
If
grad
she
school.
goes to grad school, you may have to.
So I'm
push.
thinking 10, 15 more years,
Yeah.
right? But it's
Yeah.
funny. I've got, I turned 50 next year. And so it's a weird time, right?
Yeah.
I never really thought about what would my 50s look like, right?
Mhm.
And unfortunately, in my family, a lot of them are smokers. And so a lot of people pass in their 50s and 60s, right?
Because of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of cancer.
Yeah.
And so like my mom is gone, my Nana's gone, my uncle who was kind of like my dad is gone.
Yeah.
Like everybody's, gone. And so I don't see what it's like to, live in your 50s and 60s.
You didn't see that with your family.
No.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like figuring it out.
You better hit the road.
I mean, this year I've decided I'm
Yeah.
really focusing on not so much like work-life balance, but just like mobility. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I don't want to be like a gym rat and have like huge muscles and like, whatever. I want to be able to like touch my toes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to be able to like, because I find that I'm doing stuff around the house, because I'm pretty handy and like I can tweak things very easily because I'm in weird positions that
As
I'm
you
not.
get older.
Because I get old.
Yes.
Yeah, so I used to make fun of my Nana who would sit in a chair and do chair aerobics, and I'm like, she was smart,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I need to keep all that flexibility, and I go to physical therapy sometimes, and I tell her, like, I'm turning to stone is what it
Yeah.
feels like. So that's my focus, mobility.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm already there. I'm 45. I'm already there. Like
It's never too late.
everything hurts
Right.
all the time.
You need more mobility.
I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I thought maybe I needed less kids, but
You can't fix
I can't fix that.
that ship has sailed. You've already made those decisions.
Oh my gosh. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. This has
I
been
really
so much
appreciate it. If anyone listening wants
Mm-hmm.
to get a hold of you about any probate questions or Indiana fever questions or anything
absolutely.
like that.
So my phone number is 317-922-2842. And then email is MLOR, B as in boy, IESKI at lewiswagner.com. I always have to spell my name as B as in boy. Do you do
Right.
that? Do you have to
Yes.
spell your name?
Yes. M as in man, N as in Nancy, because there's an M in it. And yes.
I learned a long time ago. I just
Yeah.
can't say B
No.
because people don't get it.
No. And then it's already hard enough, like it's not like Michelle Smith,
Oh.
like
Well, it's
you
funny,
got to
when-
spell it out.
When
for
I was
people.
married, my name was Anderson, and I kind
Yeah.
of thought about it. I was like, that was nice for a while. I didn't have
Yeah.
to spell it. But Lorbieski, it's cool.
Yeah, it is.
It
cool.
sounds almost
It's
like
awesome.
a curse word, which is nice.
Yeah, it's and like it's kind of, it's got a little gangster kind of feeling to it.
Yeah, I like
so
that.
it's good for the litigation side.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks again.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of Circle City Conversations. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any future conversations.